Good evening from London and welcome to this special programme, Bahrain at the Crossroads. In the next 60 minutes, with the help of our guests, we will debate the country's future, seek out the truth, heal and reconcile the people of Bahrain. The Independent Commission has published its findings and the political fallout is still taking shape. But one thing is certain, and that is His Majesty King Hamad Al Khalifa has proven to be a very courageous head of state. There are few leaders in the world, let alone the Arab world, who would open their country up to scrutiny from an independent national commission consisting of commissioners who are not nationals of the country under investigation. This is unprecedented. So, as much as there is criticism arising from the findings of the report, we should not lose sight of the founding principle that this criticism is based upon. So, in the words of His Majesty, this day turns a new page of history for Bahrain. And to discuss this new page with me here in London is Nazanin Ansari. Nazanin is an Iranian journalist in exile working as the diplomatic editor of Kayhan London. She is also vice president of the Foreign Press Association in London. Nazanin has also visited Bahrain in a professional capacity and no doubt has some strong views to share with us. Nazanin, thank you very much for joining us here this evening. We're also joined in Bahrain by Anwar Abdul Rahman, the editor-in-chief of Akhbar Al-Khalij newspaper, and also on the phone from New York by Mr. Mansour Al-Jamri, editor-in-chief of Al-Wasat newspaper. Thank you all very much for joining us for this debate this evening. Well, I'd like to start off by asking our panellists their overall impressions of the report from the Independent Commission. We'll, of course, go into specifics a little later. Let's head to New York first to the phone and talk to Mr. Al-Jamri. Mr. Al-Jamri, what do you make of this report?
The report is an important step towards finding what happened in Bahrain and starting a reconciliation process. It is also a golden opportunity for His Majesty the King to start a new page by leading it, by implementing actual steps that will be believed by everybody. I think now this is very courageous what has happened. That a report detailing abuses and violations can be read in front of the King. That's an important thing that has not happened before. Next thing is, really, people would like some actions taking. Some timetable, and we need to heal our society. We need the fabric of our society to come back, and I think we can do it. We have now the opportunity. We have a roadmap, so to speak. What we need to do is we need to clear our souls and intentions and really think of Bahrain as our future country, the one that we always wanted to live in, the one that we would like to be very proud of, and that we can build together.
Thank you. Well, let's talk to someone that's obviously living in Bahrain right now. Anwar Abdul Rahman is live for us from the country this evening. What's the initial reaction been since this report's been published?
I think that it's a new chapter, that for the first time, as you mentioned yourself, that His Majesty the King Hamad, as the first monarch, not only in the Arab world or Islamic world, but in the world, that had the courage and conviction to go through these, what happened in Bahrain. There is a joyful feelings amongst the public that hopefully all the problems we faced in the last, almost one can say, something like 16 years will be over. We are all looking forward to that. And also, Dr. Al-Jamri, who is now tonight with us, I thank him very much for his nationalistic feelings and his support. This is a turning point for all of us.
OK, thank you. Let's get the views of Nazanin Ansari, who joins me in the studio here. Nazanin, what are your overall impressions of the report? I know you've poured over all 500 pages of it, and it's quite revealing.
It is quite revealing. Its table of contents goes to 7 pages, and the entire report is 500 pages. And it's obviously, as Dr. Al-Jamri and Mr. Abdul Rahman have said, it's a very first good start. And I think I wish, for example, the government in Iran would invite international observers to do such an investigation in Iran about the abuses of human rights there. But all in all, I think it's a very good first start, and it all depends on how the government of Bahrain would like to take it from now.
Mr. Abdul Rahman, were you surprised actually about the King's decision regarding this report and the fact that it has been published? Nazanin makes a very fair point there that it's highly unlikely to ever happen in Iran, certainly not in the immediate future. Did it surprise you the way it went about in Bahrain?
No, at all, because from the first day His Majesty reached to the helm, he said, I remember clearly, he said to me, he said, I don't want to rule my people with guns. King Hamad, in all fairness, most probably, he's the most democratic-minded monarch ever reached to the helm in the Arab world. More than that, he is by nature very kind, very thoughtful. He listens carefully to people, need and necessity. I think Bahrain deserves such a king. So it's a time for the people of Bahrain to appreciate such a democratic-minded monarch. History has witnessed a lot of unhappy pages in every nation's history, and I hope that with this courage that he has shown, irrespective of what was wrong, I think it is a time for us to heal our wounds. It's a time for us to open new and to look forward to a brighter tomorrow. It is unique in comparison to any other GCC states. If you talk about education, it started in the last centuries, the first decade, for boys and girls. Bahrain women, they have been the first to drive cars, to work as nurses, to work as teachers. In fact, as well. Today, therefore, we have got good mothers. These mothers are qualified to bring up good children. We faced a tough time that we had no choice. It was imposed upon us. I don't say that there is a friction between people here, but this was exported to us from the, as we all know, a part of the revolutionary Iran, which they wanted to export their revolution. There is nothing called Arab Spring in Bahrain. Believe me, I'm a journalist. I've worked for all my life in journalism. It's not Arab Spring. It was the wish of the clergies to drag Bahrain to nothing but a sort of a toppling the regime.
Mr. Al-Jamri, do you share the view? Mr. Abdul Rahman, we'll come back to you in a moment regarding some other points raised in the report, but let's head to New York. Mr. Al-Jamri, do you share the view that this is now a new start for the country?
It is a potentially new start. I differ. I mean, we are part of the Arab Spring. I hope that our Arab Spring spreads to Iran and that Iran will democratize. I share the views of some of my friends who are there, but I believe that the Bahraini people have shown that they are the most peaceful, that this report came to vindicate what they said. They have no links whatsoever with an outside power. There are legitimate demands, and there were abuses. And this is a line on the sand, and we shall just cross it and not go back and debate it. What happens in Iran, that's up to them, and hopefully our Arab Spring will spread to Iran and to other places and will help to democratize those nations. In our case, we have now an opportunity to democratize Bahrain. Really, we had a reform process 10 years ago by the king, and the king now is able again to reinitiate another reforms that will heal the wounds. I mean, Bahrain has become a broken society, and Bahrain has become divided in the way it looks at things. But this is only because of the pressures. A small country, there are so much happening in the region, and I think because we're a small country, we have also opportunity. Now that we have the king sponsored this report, and he called on or he vowed that there will be no immunity for anyone suspected of abuses, that we should move on from here. We should really look for the future, but not go back and dig the wounds. We need to heal the wounds.
Nazanin, let's discuss that phrase, Arab Spring. What are the similarities with what's happening in Bahrain in what we saw that sparked off in Tunisia and then spread to Egypt? Are there any similarities there that we should be looking at?
I think you can look at the similarities across the region, starting from Iran in 2009. Obviously, I wouldn't call it Arab Spring or Arab awakening, because the Arabs have always been awakened, and you've got long summers in Arabia. But certainly it's a call for a new political order, in the sense that one of the things that the people want is dignity, human rights, security, free and fair elections, distribution of wealth and goods, a fair distribution of wealth and goods, economic progress, and sustainable growth. But what you see very similar across the region, from Iran to Bahrain, to Tunisia, to Yemen, to Libya, to Egypt, is that, number one, regimes that rule by force are neither stable nor secure. That, number two, democratic aspirations are widespread. That demands and interests of populations are similar across the region. And that political change has to come from within. And it has to come peacefully. Because one of the things that we learned in Iran, that in 1979, not every change is good. That not violent change does not bring peaceful ends. That violence only breeds violence. That what you need is more fellowship, more camaraderie, and that to bring about change in a very peaceful and evolutionary way.
Okay, let's delve a little deeper then into this report, because it's brought up quite a number of issues that I think we could debate this evening. One of the specifics that the report went into was the fact that there was no evidence establishing the involvement of Iran. However, what it said in the small print was that the Bahrain government could not put forward any evidence because of security reasons. Now, Mr. Abdul Rahman, you're an advocate of the Iranian involvement. What makes you think that this is the case?
Since 1979, when Ayatollah Khomeini reached, their plan was to that the best go to the where there is a good number of a Shia population. They did that right from 1979 in the beginning, and in 1988 they tried to make the first coup d'etat in, which was by the security people. Now, the accusation of Bahrain against Iran is, in the last years, Iran revolutionary people, they have offered more than 600 scholarship to young Bahraini Shias, all to go only into one faculty of science, theology, not single doctor of medicine or all, only to poison their mind, send them back to Bahrain to preach for the revolution. You see, during the Iranian stations, Al-Manar, Press TV, or even the main country of Iran television network, day and night pounding propaganda against Bahrain. In so much that we were transmitting on minute by minute, hour by hour, of what's happening in Bahrain. Who was collaborating with them? Certainly those people that they were occupying the Pearl roundabout. And not to say more than